Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back again to the Focus Group. This is your home of the best vibes. Today being the Wednesday, the date is the 4th of October. 2023 is the year. Yes, Bonasharo, how have you been?
I've been well. Guru.
Yes.
Tumekutana tena.
Yes.
Ndani ya the Focus Group. Kama kawa tunasema karibuni sana katika kipindi chenu ambacho mnakipenda ambacho kinakuja kwenu kila siku ya wiki. Ningependa kusema mida saa 10 kamili jioni hadi saa 11 manake it's always a 1 hour show, lakini every other day we have different hours that we come live on air. And kama kawa, just to remind our viewers, follow us on our social media handle, that is on Facebook at Sharon Paul SP. That is where we are live this evening. And Tuku Mwita Tuku as well on Facebook, and pale katika mtandao wa YouTube unatupata katika live yetu ya leo at Tuku Mwita Tuku and Sharon Paul Media. And today, Mr. Mwita,
yes,
we wanted to indulge into something just a little bit that is touching on not the social sphere, but a little bit into politics and government.
Yes, sir.
Hapa majuzi tumeona wakurugenzi wetu wakuu ambao wanakimbiza hii nchi yetu wakisema kuna hali ya taharuki kidogo katika nchi ya Haiti. And when we tried to indulge having our pre-production discussion, the kind of discussion we were trying to have about Haiti, before we get into the reason why we are going to Haiti, our government is releasing our soldiers, yet to know whether we are sending our militaries or the Kenya Police Force. It's good as well for we as Kenyans to know where our soldiers will be going. First, when we look at the physical and the geography location of Haiti, we realize that Haiti is a Caribbean country, and it is in one of the islands of Hispaniola.
Let me get this right.
Yes.
Are we sending our soldiers or are we sending our policemen?
We are going to indulge into this. Let us just get...
No, just answer my questions. Just to be on the clear. Are we sending our soldiers or are we sending our policemen?
It has two ways. When you look at the crisis in Haiti, is it an external force crisis or it is an internal force crisis?
That's an external force crisis.
Not for us, for them.
For them. For them, it's an internal.
If it is internal, because I deeply tend to think that when it is internal, we don't need to indulge the military. Because the military would only come in when we are having an external invasion into a country. But now, for Haiti, it is an internal affair. Hiyo militia in our ramba sana kule from within. It's not an external attack. But now, for us to be going there, we will be treating it as an external affair.
Yes, we should.
Because now, Haiti is an external affair to Kenya.
You want me to get into this? Because I have a bullet I just want to blow. Do you want me to get into this? Emma, you first finish your introduction.
Let me finish my introduction, because now, before we go far, there's a phone call coming in, but I will be responding to you in a bit. I was giving just a little bit, not even history or an in-depth evolution of what Haiti is, but just to get a little bit of understanding of Haiti, a Caribbean country that is in the island of Hispaniola. We also realized that they had a massive earthquake with a magnitude of 7.0.
That is in 2010.
Yeah, way back in 2010.
Yes.
To date, they are still recovering. And I think because of this earthquake, there was a very big coming together of waimbaji kutoka Marekani who came together. They redid the song that was initially done by Quincy Johnson and the late anaitwa nani ule jamaa wa country music, nasahau jina yake kidogo. Lionel Richie was also in the production. So they came together, they did, I think, a funds drive to help them recover from the 2010 earthquake, which was a very bad one. And we also realized that the language that is spoken here, which is also something that we really need to discuss about before these soldiers of ours are sent, Haiti speaks French. Apart from French, they speak the Haitian Creole. You wanted to
It's
say?
Haitian.
I could say Asian Pacific because they're in North America.
Yes.
They're in the North American continent. Yeah. And their capital is Port-au-Prince. Ili utoke hapo unaenda huko, niliona mtu amefanya some cartoon.
It's about 8,000 kilometers.
From here.
From here.
By flight.
Yes.
Wewe pia unafanyanga research zingine. And they have a population of, it's not a big country, a population of 11.5 million. That is in regards to the 2021 census.
What's the population?
11.45 million.
11.54 million.
4.5 million.
So basically that is Nairobi and Kiambu.
Yeah, ni Nairobi mbili. Nairobi is 5 point
million.
something.
5 million. So let it put on a round figure. So that is 5 million.
That is 5 million.
It's Nairobi and Kiambu.
Nairobi and Kiambu. Kiambu, what is the population of Kiambu? As per the last census?
I think it's about 2 million. So it's about tuseme ni Nairobi na county ingine kama Rift Valley. Hata sio Rift Valley yote. The northern part, the North Rift.
So that is it can also give us a rough estimation of its square per kilometer, getting to see its boundaries.
Yes.
And then now, when you look into what is really happening there, tunaona kuna hii militia ambayo imeleta vurugu sana kwa hiyo nchi.
Yes.
And it's called Makute. You know, in French pronunciation, very many things, you lose some...
Makute.
Yeah, Makute. Yeah, and we were trying to establish what really happened as to the reason why they're having this kind of political unrest. But we see that way back, some time back, there was an assassination of the president, ambaye alikuwa anaitwa Jovenel Moise in 2021. That was in July. To date,
after the earthquake,
that was in 2020.
Was it in 2010?
Sorry, 2010.
2010.
Yeah. 2010. Yeah.
Haiti became very unstable, and most of the infrastructure was destroyed.
Yeah.
Most of what they knew as a country was destroyed. And if you're going to take even Kenya as a country, post-election, that was so chaos in 2007, one of the most hideous things we've ever had in this country.
Yeah.
So in Haiti, some people tended to have these groupings. There were so many groups that were formed, either by clan or by what have you, just to protect their own.
Yeah.
And try to grab as much as they can for their own. Sooner or later, it became the currency because money wasn't trading anything, so it became the currency. So you'll have CK, you'll have Sharon, you'll have Tuku, each with their own groups.
And each group has its currency.
Exactly.
And everybody wants us to
trade
superiority on
Yes.
the currency.
And I will tell you that politicians, wherever they are, these people carry a lot of weight. Because I can promise you the politicians, especially in Haiti, played a very big role in this chaos that you're seeing right now. They played a very big role in the chaos that you're seeing. Because everybody was out there fighting for their own interest. Na kila mtu alikuwa anafikiria at the end of it, the country is stable, back to stability, atakuwa na nini? Atakuwa na kitu amejishikilia. Lakini that was a very bad move. It's now hurting everybody. People who created it, they now have a name. They used to, in Haiti, Kitambo, there used to be this boogeyman. They used to believe that used to kidnap children, anaenda anawakula.
Yeah, actually, that's where they're getting the name of the
name of
militia.
the militia.
The Makunte.
Yes, it's a mythical boogeyman story that used to be told to the kids.
Yeah, he could come and snatch the kids, alafu anaenda kuwakula.
Exactly.
And that is what is really happening currently, because this militia is really chewing into the residents, the citizens, the economic power, and the entire of Haiti. And now bringing us back to the fundamental question that we wanted to bring forth. Why Kenya? Why is Kenya going to Haiti?
Mr.
First,
Sharon.
you even posed a question like, who is going to Haiti? Is it our military or is it...
That's a
the Kenya
question I
police?
did ask you.
Yes.
And you never gave me the answer. You took me back to the same circle, to the start of the.
I didn't want us to indulge into it as we were starting because I just wanted to have a skeleton, a backbone of a few details about Haiti so that we can actually understand where our Kenyan military or our Kenyan police are going to. And now, when we want to say that it's our military that is being deployed to Haiti, and or our Kenya police that is being sent to Haiti, we really need to understand we are indulging into this at what level? Because even in our country here, during and slightly after 2007, 2008 post-election violence, there was no point that the Kenyan military, the Kenyan Defense Forces, were involved because this was an internal affair. Ilikuwa tu malumbano ya humu.
They did for 10 days in the former the retired president, His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. I remember a time when the Trans Nzoia governor, what do you call him, the former police coordinator, Rift Valley, what do you call him? Natembeya told the public that he had the KDF for 10 days only. Yes. So now, Mr. Sharon, let's just give my 2 cents on this. You see, this is an issue that involves Haiti locally. It's an internal affair for Haiti.
Yes.
But for us, within our constitution, and the reason why the last time His Excellency, the President, wanted to send KDF to Turkana, and I think we did that piece here when we did the bloody beef.
Yeah, the bloody beef for the Turkana.
And ulipiga kelele sana that the president wants to send KDF within our territories. And I think this is the most defining answer for what you were looking for back then. You see, it could be an internal affair for Haiti, but it is an external affair for us. Because the constitution dictates that anything that is within our boundaries is within the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Interior. In Kikuyu, we say, Maodo Maadhenie. Kindiki Kithure is the boss for that. When it comes...
What did you say, Maodo?
Maodo Maadhenie.
Okay.
Mambo ya ndani.
Mambo ya ndani.
Hiyo ni ya Kindiki Kithure. Exactly. When it comes to the outside now, where you have to involve the outside countries that you're interfering with other countries' activities. Ama you're interfering, it could be peacekeeping, ama whatever you're going to put it. When we have our soldiers being taken to Sudan to evacuate people from Sudan, our own nationalities, when you have KDF being deployed to Sudan to bring back our citizens because there is instability in Sudan, you normally see the CS defense, that is Aden Duale, is the man taking care of that.
He's the man at the top notch.
You get?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen any police going to Sudan to take care of... you see what is happening in Sudan is an in-house thing. It is their own in-house thing. It does not involve anything outside their boundaries. So have you ever seen any policeman there akichukua 50 bob kwa barabara?
The other day, I just saw a cartoon going around that our Kenya police already there in a Land Cruiser. Alafu they are going around and unapata kama wanaulizana ati how do we tell them in their language toa kitu kidogo ya macho.
But then again, you see, the main agency that is taking these policemen to Haiti, it is the UN Security Council.
It's called the United Nations Security Council. Of which we're being told it approved on Monday the deployment of international forces.
Yes.
These international forces are led by Kenya. And what they're trying to do is to curb the escalating gang violence in Haiti.
You see, now, Bona Sharon, something else I would like to clarify. The UN is not sending the police
to war.
To war, or to any country for that matter. The UN just cleared this country called Kenya that you could now go into Haiti and do whatever you want to do. It did not send anybody. You see, the United Nations needs to clear you for you to indulge in any matter security within your, outside your boundaries. So if you're going to do anything in any foreign country, you need to be cleared by that. You get? Same as you have the Europe countries needs to be cleared by NATO. In here, you need to be cleared by the UN. So the UN is not sending the soldiers here in Kenya. Kenya is sending soldiers to Haiti. And mind you, from the knowledge that I have, Kenya is going to be on the front line. You see how US on the front line in Iraq, and they flattened the country.
When they were looking
and nobody knew exactly why these people walked into Iraq and flattened this country. Up until now, nobody has ever given us the clarity as to why Bush felt that they needed to go to Iraq and do whatever they did.
You know, when it comes to that point, you also get to ask yourself some fundamental kind of questions. I mean, when we get involved in this kind of an affair, what are we getting back?
Exactly my
point. As a country, what are we getting back? And what does that country has to offer? Maybe in terms of, this one I can't even say is like bilateral agreements or something. Does it have any minerals that we can say?
Actually, Haiti has one of the richest oil fields. If that is the information that you're looking for. It has one of the richest oil fields. And I do not want to speculate that Kenya has any hidden agendas as to why we are sending our soldiers there. But as you said, you're not sending soldiers, we are sending policemen. So basically, they are going there to control traffic, do some other stuff. I do not know where they're going there. But what I do not get is to why we as a country, much as we are not satisfying our needs back home, have to add on other budgets to go to a very far country. And mind you, Bona Sharon, the countries around Haiti are not getting their business is involved in any way in that country's business. You can find that, I think you see how many kilometers it is from here to there.
You mentioned
8,000 kilometers. And whomever is around those people is not meddling in these people's affairs.
Why Kenya?
But why Kenya?
And the question that maybe I wanted us to just get into a little bit. For be it our military forces, the Kenya Defense Force or the Kenya Police Forces to be deployed, does it have to pass through a parliamentary process?
You see, that is where now the tricky part comes in. You see, the defense forces, for them to be deployed, it needs some parliamentary intervention. But if you're going to send the police, it does not need any parliamentary intervention. So now you wonder why. You see, these people, much as they are walking outside our boundaries, when they are walking outside their boundaries, these people will need a budget. You understand? These people will need a budget. Our tembe too, if
I've never seen a military exercise budget being flashed out.
No. Any security budgets, the only thing they can release to the public is the logistical part of it. But no country will reveal its security budgets. It has never been seen anywhere. And that is why it needs a parliamentary intervention when you're engaging the military in any activity. And what I'm thinking to myself, my own opinion, and I also had some opinion yesterday from a very knowledgeable gentleman, that it could be that our senior-most people in this government looked around and thought to themselves that there is no way they are going to get an approval from our parliament to send out the military. So now they are going to send the police instead, who nobody is going to ask the question. The IG, that is the Inspector General, can approve this from wherever he is. You get? But get this right. When these people are going outside, they will have to get a budget from the KDF, from the military. You know why? Because this is an activity that is going to be held outside our boundaries. So they will have to get a budget from whom?
The parliament.
No, from the military, which does not need any parliamentary.
It will have to get a parliamentary approval.
Yes, which is very easy, because now it does not involve the military. You get? I also heard another rumor, and this is rumor, there is no verification to this, that the former president, do I say remunerated? How do I say?
Yeah, remunerated.
Involved the military in so many activities. He literally handed over Nairobi to the military.
Yeah, through Badi.
Yes.
And then
Kenya Meat Commission.
Yeah, we had the KMC.
There are so many other activities that he involved the military in. And, the military felt quite obliged to favor the last president because they were getting favors from him. You could say that. And this time around, there is no way. I don't believe there is any favor that the current government could do that the other government didn't do for these people.
Do you think it was a favor per se? Or
no, it's not a favor, but I could say it was a favor, Bona Sharon. What we did with Nairobi has never been seen anywhere. You see, because we had a devolved government. The business of involving the military in the operations of a county was never had anywhere.
It was the first time that was
It was the first time. You get? So I would call it a favor, Bona Sharon.
Now,
for lack of a better word.
Okay, now, it was a favor, yes. When people walk into a battlefield, a warfield, the most important thing is communication.
Yes.
I've always watched action-packed movies. The only one person who is protected the most in the battlefield is the communication guy.
Yes.
So that he can tell the others who are not in the battlefield, this is what is happening. We need more backup. Our men are down. We are progressing well. Keep off. Send us airborne support. Now, when it comes to communication, sisi hapa Kenya tunazungumza lugha ya Kiingereza na Kiswahili. We are going into a country that speaks the Haitian Creole and French. And I was watching one of the mainstream media the other day. There's a member of parliament who I think is in the Security Council in the parliament. He was saying our police force are well trained. One, they can even combat the cattle rustling, of which aliambiwa, you are not going to deal with the cattle rustlers. This is a militia that has taken 80% of control in a country. And two, you are going to a foreign country where they speak a different language from yours. How are we going to communicate? Maybe with, by the time we reach there, we have to be getting people who will be receiving us. Maybe their police force. How will we be communicating? But he mentioned that already the police force have been enrolled for some French lessons. I did French.
See, that was the most, yeah. I think that was the most ignorant answer he could ever give, Bona Sharon.
Let me just finish this. I did French in high school. From Form 1 to Form 4. Boss, at that point, nilikuwa anza kufundishwa do to a card saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I never did it previous in primary school. So for you even to get the basic communication of moi, je m'appelle Sharon Paul, j'habite ici au Kenya, je suis une militaire.
We'll just now you're just showing off.
So you see, I can be a translator. I can be a translator. So you see, there's that bit of them getting that combatant kind of and getting also to train to mwezi wa 10. We only have walisema wanaenda January. We only have we have November and December. 2 months for a foreign language. And as an adult, boss, you can't grasp.
You see, Bona Sharon, I think that was a very ignorant answer. And I think most of these politicians, when they can't get an answer for anything, they have come to a conclusion that there is nothing we Kenyans will do to them. So they will just spit whatever is going to come out of their mouths at the moment. Some of these random answers they are giving is not correct. But if it were me being asked that question, I would answer it. You see, Bona US went to Iraq without the knowledge of Arabic. You see, when you're going to a hostile area, you do not need to communicate with the people that are there. Whomever is coming from Kenya to Haiti is not necessarily going to communicate with the hostile. The most, I can promise you 90%, Bona Sharon, unless there is communication for a ceasefire, where the militia needs to say that now we've been defeated, let us have a dialogue. They are probably going to speak with the forces in Haiti, not with the forces from Kenya. The forces from Kenya, the only thing they need to know is how to handle a gun and a grenade. That is the only training they need.
But you see,
yes.
Let me read it verbatim. The United Nations Security Council, this was on Monday, approved the deployment of international forces led by the Kenyan forces.
I know, led by the Kenyan forces.
So when we are leading, we need to be communicating to you as...
Bona Sharon, let me ask you this question. Are we going to mediate? Are we going for peacekeeping? Or what are we going to do?
Same question that I also wanted to put forth. Because one, when United Nations is deploying any forces to a...
Is there a government in Haiti?
As you post that, let me read one of the comments that a very good follower of ours has put forth. This is Alex Okeno, a very good friend of mine, and thank you so much for watching. He's asked, those guys are going to die like almost immediately. Haiti is not a joke. Amesema hata yeye nikipangwa sana otherwise, but atahepa asiende huko. Haiti is not like the Pokots or any militia from our neighborhood. Haiti is like Ethiopian. Ask anyone who has worked in Todonyang will tell you. What he's trying to bring, I mean, there's no even existence of a proper government. Because this is a militia that is taking charge of a country. And is again asking, ask yourself the same question, why does Haiti lack soldiers in the first place? There are no soldiers.
Sharon, if you give me time, let me just put my point across. This is my point. Where we are going around, Bona Sharon, is sending the police for these activities. That is the one thing. And I think I explained this earlier. I think the reason why we are sending the police is only for this, it's for the optics. Because basically nobody is going to approve this. And if it is going to be approved, it is going to be approved. It is going to be so shambolic that even people in power will not want to look stupid in this. You get my point? Let me just finish, Bob. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Let me finish. You're not letting me finish my point. Let me finish. I think these people, this government is full of so big brains and so educated people that they are looking at all ways to kill a cat. And you know how hard it is to kill a cat, Bona Sharon.
It has 9 lives.
Yes. I think the only thing they've done their math and concluded that there is no way they are going to get an approval. They could get an approval, but it will come out very dictatorship. Nobody is going to give them the approval of sending the military. And so I think let me finish, Bona Sharon. I know you have so many bullets today. Let me finish. Okay. I think what they've done, Bona Sharon, is that they've found a way of getting themselves into Haiti without any questions per now. The first, Nile unasemaga, let us get ourselves there, then after that, tutaona venye kutaenda. Now, they know themselves that sending the police is a suicidal game. I know they know that.
Yeah,
but the first ones, boots on the ground, then they come up with a strategy of how now to bring the soldiers in after that.
Alex says
let me finish.
They'll die like almost
exactly.
Immediately.
I know. Let me finish this, Bona Sharon. Anybody who's been in the security forces know there is no way you're going to send the police as much as it is an internal affair. This militia group, this boogeyman, ameshinda wenye wako huko. You get?
The Makute.
This is, you see, any security agency within the boundaries of any country, hawazaliwagwi specifically wakiambiwa hawa ni polisi. Hakuna mtu anapelekagwa ati there's a certain couple wanapelekwa mahali wanaambiwa sasa nyinyi tunataka mtuzalie polisi. Sasa nyinyi nataka mtuzalie jeshi. These are commoners in this third country. It's only that they're selected from there. So the same breed that is out there being Malaysia it is the same breed that is now the peaceful civilian ama citizens within the same country. So you expect that wale polisi wako hapo ni the same humans kama wenye Malaysia, hiyo kikosi. You get? So Bwana Sharon, this is what I'm going to say. I think it was, I won't say a mistake because we do not know the end game to this thing. We really do not know the end game to this thing. And I understand the amount of discretion that needs to be there for this activity. Maybe wamepata a way of getting us cheaper oil. We do not know. We do not know. But this is what I'm going to say, Bwana Sharon. Communication is not the issue here. The chain of protocol that was used, that is the problem, Bwana Sharon. We can keep on arguing that we can train them, they can talk all the French that is there, they will still die.
Bonjour.
They can speak even French yenye wao wenyewe itainventiwa, but they are still going to die. Bwana Sharon.
French.
Communication, much as you hear communication, is the solvent for any problem. Trust me. So, first of all, they are going to get the most hostile reception they can ever get.
Because they're going to be treated as now invaders.
They are invaded. Yeah. And mind you, Bwana Sharon, these people have taken most of that country's resources. And sijui kama umeona the number of the organized mob criminal cases that are in the US originating from Haiti. Have you seen?
Most of it originates from Haiti and
yes,
the Mexican border. Mexican border.
Exactly. They find themselves into the US, get themselves into organized crimes. They formed the most dangerous groupings in the US. So you can expect that the same way you saw 9/11 in the US. These are people who felt that the US was invading their privacy, was invading their space. They needed to leave them alone and just rule their country the unruly way they want. You can expect the same retaliation in this country. So my worry is, Bwana Sharon, what are we subjecting our country into?
Yeah, the end game. Because when we got ourselves into this, we can see how we've always been bombarded. I remember the late General Kajwang once said, Baba, well, your way, it was bomb. You see, now they saw that we went into their territory. I wouldn't really like to mention the name of this militia. We went into their territory, and then now they came back home. And it was being said that we are looking for the head in Somali, but the tail is in Kenya. So, at times, the best way to attack a snake is start by cutting off the tail before you reach the head. And now it still begs the same question that I was putting forth. On whose budget are we going to undertake this mission? Before you answer that, when I was watching one of the interviews in one of the mainstream media, there's one MP who mentioned that there's a $20 million US or a $20 billion US dollar that was on offer for any country that will be taking its forces there. Debatable. We are not sure whether this is factual.
I have something to say on that. There is a point I left hanging.
Okay, just to clear on that budget before I get back to our viewers who are really giving us very good contribution here. You can finish on that, and then I get some shout out from here, then we proceed.
That is why I'm saying, Bwana Sharon, this is pure rumors. The military, most of them, not most of them, any military anywhere in the world. There's a movie I was watching some time back. It's called The Diplomat. And this lady was asking, the diplomat now, the ambassador asked if they can find anything to bomb. And this CIA lady said that if you're going to ask the military if they can find something to bomb, the military will always find something to bomb. That is a question you do not pose for the military. And these people do not make their money if there is no war. Do you realize that? They do not make their money if there's no war. Na hakuna kitu mbaya kama a well-trained and a well-facilitated military, like the one in Kenya. These people are very well-trained, trust me.
The best, actually.
And they are bored.
I think they're the best after Israel and South Africa.
Yes. And they are bored, my friend.
Hakuna kazi.
Hakuna kazi. Now,
Mtu anaingia jeshi anaretire bila
kufyatua
risasi, yeah.
And trust me, these people are very well kept and very well trained. No, they get bored. And mind you, now, from the activities that the former president gave them, they made up a few coins here and there. But it wasn't enough. Now, someone yesterday made a point and said, maybe this is a way of for the government to tell the military, ndio hiki tuye, because there is money being offered somewhere, and this money will only land on the laps of the military, because there is no way this amount of monies will come na ipatiwe IG, that he is a token for your police. No, much as the police are being deployed through the Haiti, the budget will have to come from the military. And now we will have to send a few soldiers just to babysit our police.
Wangeanza hata kubring normalcy in West Pokot.
There is no money there.
Okay. And just as you said, when there's no war, there's no money.
There's no money.
When there's war, there's
money.
a lot of exchange of military equipment and
exactly.
Your gates is as good as mine. These things are damn expensive.
Yes.
Now, let me just get back to our social media viewers and get a little bit of their feedback. Once again, I'm on Alex Okeno. I know him at a personal level, and that's why I'm really concentrating on whatever he's sharing. Now, he continues and says, those armed groups are seriously being sponsored. You've said without money, there's no interest in this thing.
Yes.
They are seriously being sponsored and they have good money. So you can imagine a poor police officer from Kenya who has been waiting for reforms since they were born and hasn't been implemented. This person will be very happy to go there knowing akienda a survive arudi, the pockets will be rich. This is Ivy Jones, a very good friend of ours as well. Thank you so much for keeping it the focus group. And you are saying, is this even a pragmatic approach? The country is throwing its own children in the lion's den. Tunachukua tu watoto wetu, tunawapeleka kule. Just like Alex alisema, these people wakifika tu pale, immediately, they're going to die. Okemwa Hemston, a very good friend of the focus group.
Mr. Producer.
Mr. Producer. Amesema bana, let those who are interested to go. Kama we ukoro juu, wende. And then a very final one from, this is a very good Kiongozi friend of mine. He was at UN, I think one of the very good leaders, student leaders that we had at UN, Harold Mugozi. Now, Mr. Mugozi says, the president is focused on the goodwill and the money from the UN and major donors like the US. Sending police to Haiti is a way to get the money and or the donations. Moses Keru said he was watching us from United Kiambu, and the mention of Haiti itself scares him. You wanted to talk about something that I cut you short.
You see, Bona Sharon, sending of anybody to Haiti is not the wrong thing. It is, I know they probably have, there's quid pro quo in this. There's someone being scratched somewhere and they are scratching back.
Somebody's back is being scratched.
Yes. So Kenya is getting some kickbacks from sending some, whether they are going to die or survive, wherever they are being sent to Haiti. Kenya is getting something in return.
They're being sent to go and die.
Yes. No, I'm not saying they're being sent to die. All I'm saying is whether they're being sent to die or not, Kenya is getting something back.
That's why
the only wrong thing that is being done, Bona Sharon, it is the way they are being sent there.
Yeah, that's why
we have not thought through this. And because someone somewhere, Ameketi and may analyze, and they've known there is no way I'm going to get approvals for this. There is no way I'm going to get to have the permission to send the military there. Then they're looking for other shoshoros so they can send these people. to Haiti. So they later on, and you mark my words, if we do get to Haiti, later on, the military will have to go there.
And that's why I'll repeat what Mr. Mugozi has said, Harold. The president did focus on the goodwill and the money. That's what you're insinuating as well. From the UN and the major donors. Because wherever there is war, even those
money.
Yeah, even those people who are being sent for peacekeeping, I think the remuneration is equally good. Hata hao ambao walikuwa naenda AMISOM. I have a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine. I call him Oche and I've seen him. Thank you very much for watching, Alexander Tiki. Going to Somalia was not a problem. The problem is when and you don't make it back.
Exactly.
But when you go and make it back, because you're going there as a peacekeeping, for a peacekeeping mission. But even at the peacekeeping mission, and you're seeing your enemy approaching with a gun blazing bullets. Hautanyamaza ati wewe si tumewaletea paunga tumekuja kupanguza vidonda vya risasi. You also get to retaliate back and see yourself coming back home.
And that is the other reason why they are sending the police and not the military. Because they cannot call this a peacekeeping mission. There is no way they are going to send the military into a hostile area. From what they learned in Somalia, sending these people, and as you said, when Alex is saying, the way Alex is saying, that Haiti is not a place to joke with. I'm sure they've analyzed themselves and known that there is no way they are going to send these people there, knowing very well that these people are very hostile. So the only other way to send people who can shoot back is sending the police. So this is a local issue. So if you shoot at me, I'm definitely going to shoot back. So if they send the military, then that is an international crisis. Then you send people to war, and these people are obliged to retaliate with the same force.
Because now I'm trying to give it, bringing it back home, a situation where now the cattle rustlers in Baragoy, in West Pokot, in the northern corridors of Kenya, let me say the places of next to Ramu. Ramu is a sub-county in Mandera where I once worked, and we felt a taste of the bullets rattling the air. So I'm trying to imagine a situation where now these cattle rustlers or maybe a militia is taking over Kenya. Now, who are the best people who can come to help us? Can we take the Ugandan police or Tanzanian police force to come and help us? Or we might try and get an intervention from a well-established military, a defense force from another country?
No. You see, that is just a section. That is banditry. There is no country without their bad apples. That is just one bad apple in that country. But you see, for what is happening, it's the same thing with the Niger Delta. You see, these are bad apples in a sack. So you're not going to get outside forces to come and just wipe out something you can do internally. You see, Kenya is a republic that is well functioning. You see, Haiti, on the other face, is a country that is not able. It's been paralyzed by these forces. If we gotten to a point whereby these bandits from on the rift wametushika the whole country tumeshindwa kumove, then now we can ask for help from outside. But Kenya, you see, the point where Haiti is established to the outside world that hatujiwezi. So they are vulnerable.
They need support.
They need support. But there is no way Kenya is going to admit that tumeshindwa. Our brother Don hapa ataingia huku na kuja sana. Kama mumejishindwa, acha niingie. Kisumu ni yangu.
Wagawa rasilimali.
Kisumu ni yangu. Inaitwa aje ile migingo ni yangu. But you see, Kenya as a country has not gotten to a point whereby there's a few bad apples in this country. As much as si ati hatuwezi maliza how bandit, but still Kenya is looking at the amount of collateral. If they dropped a few bombs kwa hizo valleys, the amount of collateral that is going to be there is still our own people, our own Kenyans.
Our own brothers
and
and
any
sisters.
bandit that is going to be collected from the north, from the rift, needs to be taken through the process of going to court, saying not guilty, getting a lawyer and all that. They need to be taken through that process. So these are our people. These are a few bad apples. These are criminals within a functioning country. Haiti has gotten to a point where it is not a functioning country anymore.
It is not, because
it has been destabilized kabisa by these people. And that is why they are comfortable asking for permission. They are comfortable asking for help from the outside world now.
And very far away from home.
Yes. Mind you, do you know US has the largest, the highest number of crime within its territories?
But it never asks for
exactly
assistance from...
You get my point. Yeah. It is a very stable country, but much as it is stable, there's a lot of bad apples within the same country. And these people are not going to be dealt with by the military. They are going to be dealt with by the same forces within the country, za kiundani.
Now, tunaweza kupata kuarifiwa na bwana director that our time is coming to almost, and just before that, I would like to just get a few shout-outs from our followers here on Facebook. And today we are live on Sharon Paul SP. That is our Facebook handle for today. And you can still find us on Mwita Thuku Mwita, still on Facebook, and Thuku Mwita Thuku on YouTube, and Sharon Paul Media on YouTube. Wale ambao wameweza kushiriki kuwa nasi na tunasema shukran sana. We have Sonia Okemwa and my twin sister Nancy Sarah. Thank you so much for being there. Omondi, a very good friend of yours, Donald.
Yeah, Donald.
Sarah is there. Thank you so much. Alexander Tiki, huyu ni gwiji sana katika hii mambo ya security and issues. Alina Kasuku, thank you so much. I know you're watching, and unafaa kuja hapa kwa show tupige show kidogo. Tuko napo na George. This is Harold. Harold's message is equally heavy. The president has a goodwill for the nation and the donation that will be coming from there. Fazul, Mena Habari 254. Thank you so much for being there.
Calvin.
Calvin Barete, Omondi. This is Omondi, a very good friend of mine who's a daktari kule nyumbani. Alafu tuko na Emase, Jeremiah, Evans Udero, Vincenzo, Oscar Duke.
No, Phoebs anasema kwa Sugoi.
Nani?
Phoebs.
Kongoi missing Shamege.
Hai sasa unamtupia masalamu zote all at once.
Eric Okelo, engineer, Chris, naona hapa tuko na Masi vile vile, Mike Alila, thank you so much. Maureen Suju, Victor Ghana, Susan, a very good friend of mine. Gila is watching us all the way in German.
Yes.
Sisi tumetanda kote.
Tumekaribia.
Alafu mwisho tuko napo Paul Njoroge, who also is a very good friend of mine and is in one of the forces. I know this is really touching him close home. Eve hapo anasema akona swali. Sijui atauliza swali gani lakini kaende.
Ni Adongo.
Yeah, Eve Adongo. Alafu huyu ni ndugu wa Toka Nitoke, kijana mdogo ambaye ananifuata kule nyumbani. Amesema yuko ndani sana. Now, Mr. Mwita, as we wind, you said whatever happens, there will be that collateral damage.
Yes.
And there will be consequences.
Yes.
Just like the way we went into AMISOM in Somali.
Yes.
We saw the September 11th. We saw the Nairobi. That was the UN headquarters being bombarded.
Yes.
This also happened in Uganda and Tanzania. On the flip side, if it happens that our forces, either the Kenya Police Forces or the Kenya Defense Forces, are sent, what should we expect? The worst case scenario? Because in no test that I'll say this is a good move from my own point of view.
Bwana Sharon,
as we wind.
First of all, let me say this. And I'm saying this with the most goodwill for this country there is. I think it is only fair that this government that I support fully should at least involve the public. This is, if you've ever done a public participation on anything, this is one of the things that you should involve the public with. And it is about time any country that is about to invade any other country knows what they're getting themselves into. I know there is heavy reimbursements for us engaging in these activities, but please try and engage the public. Bwana Sharon, this time around, we are going to Haiti as the main people of this. Hatuingii kama venye tuliingia Somali na Amazon. Hatuingii venye tuliingia Congo. Hatuingii mahali venye tuliingia Sudan. We are getting into this on the front line. Venye US waliingia Iraq, that is the same way we are getting into this country. And promise you this. Vile umesikia Alex amesema, Haiti, the militia that are there, the boogeyman that is in Haiti right now, is heavily armed and heavily financed. The people who have financed these militias, we do not know their agenda. It is political, I can promise you that. And anywhere that there is political push, you can be promised that it is not going to be happy for anyone. Bwana Sharon.
And our presence there is going to be a very big interference in operations.
Let me give you a few examples. When the US got into the Middle East, what has happened to any ally of theirs? What has happened? To the US themselves.
Very many death cases.
The 9/11, you remember that?
Yeah.
It claimed massive lives in the US. They do have a holiday for that day. You do know that? 9/11.
And it's actually celebrated here back home.
Yes, it is not celebrated. It is
marked.
It is marked. You see, it is marked.
Okay, we mark
it. That is the day of terror. Not forgoing the day that is the 1998. Nilisikia Belmutu akipigwa Kiswahili na akina Njugush. Ati akipatiana story alikuwa anasema in 1998 alikuwa raundi hivi. Ukisikia mtu anasema alikuwa raundi hiyo time, huyu ni mzee anakuisha.
I was in Ombe when this news was spreading, and it was a very somber mood for the entire nation.
So, Bwana Sharon, you can, when we drop these boots in Haiti, you can be promised that there's going to be boots equally in Kenya, trying to fight. Unaona venye musha establish hizi. I'm sure there are people being deployed to Kenya right now, because these people will have to fight back.
You're getting to the territory, you're interfering with the businesses.
Exactly.
They won't welcome you with flowers. They will welcome you with blazing guns.
Yes.
So whoever is responsible, we are Kenyans, and Kenya is now business. And just as Mitas put it, let us try to have a public participation so that we, as the
we know what we're getting into.
Yeah, citizens of Kenya can equally have our input. It is not that all those who are advising the government are wise. We have wiser people outside here who can give you very candid and informative input on the best way to go about this.
And you see, Bwana Sharon, just to stop you kidogo before you wind up, it's not necessarily that it is a bad thing that we are getting into Haiti. It could be a very good thing. You see, much as we do not like to say it, US benefited a lot going to the Middle East. They benefited a lot, Bwana Sharon.
That's why they're in South Sudan.
That is why, exactly, that is why they're there. So if this government was to involve the public and just do not get into details, just tell us that, have faith in us that if we go to Haiti, a few things will have to change for us. Then we can make the sacrifice without any problems. We know that there is something you're going to get there. So just let us in on that small thing and tell us tutafaidika in one way or the other. I do not believe there is anyone that is not going to, because either way, the police force is signed up for something. Whether they are here or there, whether they are in Capedo or in Haiti, peril is bound to follow them.
Will Kome be the one at the forefront?
Who?
Kome.
Sharon, let us not politicize this. Whether a policeman is in Kenya, whether a policeman is in Haiti, they walk in peril. Do you believe that? So, hata wewe hapa in town, just a rogue criminal anaweza tu tokea tu hivi aone polisi na mpige risasi. The police will die whether they are in Haiti or they are in Kenya. It is not a good thing. I'm not saying it is a good thing. It is a very bad thing. But because it is going to happen, and you know any initiative that is driven by the government is going to happen whether we like it or not. It is going to happen. I only think it is only fair that they indulge us in this conversation. They tell us this is why we are going into this country, and we are going to benefit with this and this. Then we as Kenyans can feel comfortable sending our daughters and sons into that country.
Whoever is watching, whoever it will reach, that's a cry for one of us speaking, and speaking on behalf of many millions and millions of Kenyans. A public participation will go in handy for this, and you will go a long way. It's 5:45, and that brings us to the end. We would really like to say a very big thank you for your candid responses and your candid comments, and keeping it the focus group. All the reactions that we have there, tunasema ni shukran sana. Keep following us on our Facebook handle, that is Sharon Paul SP and Thuku Mwita Thuku on Facebook as well, and on our YouTube handle, that is Sharon Paul Media and Thuku Mwita Thuku. Keep the conversation going, and let's keep engaging so that our voice can equally be heard as Kenya takes strides into making our country a better place, but not sending our sons and daughters into the mouths of crocodiles. Till then, have a good evening and see you next time. Bye for now. Adios.
Oh.
Adios.
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 Kwaheri.
Who is
I know some French.
That is not even French. That is.
Oh, it's Spanish. Amani.